Hello and welcome to Mobile Youth TV. This is the show where every week we share one key story on what we've learned in our research, our travels and our interaction with young people. Today we're going to have a look at fans. What is it that Nike, Apple, Starbucks, Nintendo and those other great brands do to engage their fans regularly? So what is the secret of their success? We're going to look at the case study of Nintendo. What is the secret of their success with their customers? How do they turn customers into fans? And how can we use that information to empower mobile brands? So my name's Graham Brown. I'm joined today with our research manager, Freddie Benjamin. Freddie, how are you doing?
Doing good, Graham. Thank you.
Excellent. So Freddie, let's start by talking about Nintendo because it's an interesting case study. They're not the big player in the console market. They're up against some pretty weighty names like Microsoft and Sony. But what they've done is they've managed to turn the ship around. They've turned the tanker around from being, what was the dominant name to ultimately a fading name in the market, and then really sort of bouncing back. And their bouncing back strategy was really about engaging fans. I'm really interested to know how they did it, because surely there's implications in that story for brands like Nokia or Motorola or Sony Ericsson today. So maybe you can share with us your findings from your recent research and looking at Nintendo and how they engaged fans, and really sort of share with us what that means for brands like Nokia.
Definitely. When we look at the video game console industry, Nintendo had a 68% market share in the early 90s. That was before Sony and Microsoft came out with PlayStation and Xbox, respectively. As competition increased, Nintendo became less relevant to the young gamer target group, and their market share eventually fell to 18% by 2006. This was about the time when Nintendo came out with the Wii console. Now, for the launch of the Wii, they introduced the program called the Sage program, which embraced Nintendo's existing customer base. And this was a big move in their part. What they did was they created an online community platform that enabled their customers to interact with the brand and with each other. Customers could register their Nintendo products and even provide feedback on the experience they were having with the products. One of the things Nintendo did well was they put in place a reward system which helped them identify the most active consumers, those who were providing a lot of information and really being active in the online community. Nintendo then handpicked from among these members based on the quality of their contributions to lead discussion forums, help new users get more accustomed to the Wii console, and even provide insights into consumer behavior that fed into product design and product development. What Nintendo had essentially done was identified its fans from its existing group of customers and involved fans in everything from product design to customer service. By doing this, they had essentially empowered their fans, given them something similar to a social badge, the way owning an Apple product does to Apple fans. These fans were then rewarded with exclusive game previews, early access to game merchandise, and invites to events. And then these rewards, in fact, translated into experiences and stories that these fans could go out and share with their friends. That was word-of-mouth marketing that was happening through fans. And all that Nintendo did was really provide them the experience and the story to go out and share. So the fans were doing the marketing for Nintendo. Eventually, this translated into a gain in market share for Nintendo. By end of 2009, they had 50% share of the video game console market. It also allowed Nintendo to stay the only profitable console maker in the last decade compared to Sony and Microsoft.
That's pretty significant, is it? Because if you look at the data, the accumulated operating income since product launch, it tells a very powerful story where you have, for example, Microsoft, who have lost more or less $7 billion since the Xbox launch, whereas Nintendo have, accumulated around about $11 billion, where Sony's breaking even. So here's a story where not only does fan spotting make good sense in terms of marketing product development, but it actually has a direct impact on the bottom line. Because going back to your point about these fans who are activated in the network, the ones that are engaged in these these experiences, that for Nintendo is powerful marketing. You can imagine what kind of leverage they get on their marketing. And you can also imagine that for their competitors, Sony and Microsoft, marketing is a fair chunk of their cost, right? Everything is marketing. Once you've paid for the development of the product, which really in the grand scheme of things is not really much at all, then everything is about marketing. So there you have it. Fan spotting directly impacts the bottom line for these companies. Okay, so what's interesting about this case study, Freddie, and thanks for sharing it with us, is what Nintendo have done is they practice the golden rule of fan spotting. That is, stop selling to the unsold. And really from stage one of those 3 steps that you identified, they decided that they're going to engage their existing customer base. They weren't going to go out and try and get more subscribers, more Nintendo owners, because they realized that those people would come as a result of existing players recruiting friends to become Wii fans, right? So they went out from day one, sell to the sold, commit the resources to people who already get it, people who already are paying attention. And that really is where Nintendo practiced fan spotting from day one, and they reap the benefits down the line. Okay, Freddie, so the question is, can other brands use that same strategy to go and recruit new customers? Take, as an example, Nokia or Motorola or Samsung or Sony Ericsson. I'm talking about mobile brands that have really suffered market share, especially in the smartphone arena. So Nokia maybe resembles Nintendo a little bit, where it's being bashed either side from, new entrants. You've got BlackBerry, you've got Apple, gradually eroding their market share for building these beachheads in the market. Could we also apply this strategy of fan spotting to a company like Nokia?
Definitely, yes. Every brand has fans, and Nintendo proved that. I mean, who would have thought during 2006 when they launched Wii that Nintendo fans existed out there in the world? But they proved that they had their fans. So Nokia could do the same thing. Become more customer-centric, tap into their existing customer base, find their fans, and really engage in dialogue and empower the fans to go and do the marketing for them. And we'll talk more about this in the next episode, where we talk about the importance of advocacy versus trust for a brand.
Great. So keep it locked for next week, because on mobileYouth TV, we're going to look at how these mobile brands employ the ideas and the lessons learned from case studies such as Nintendo and really reinvent themselves in the eyes of young people. You've been watching mobileYouth TV. My name's Graham Brown. I'm joined by Freddie Benjamin. Until next time, you can follow our adventures on the mobileYouth Tour Facebook fan page. The link is here. Keep up to date on where we're going to be, and if we're going to be visiting your town anytime soon, just reach out and talk to us. See you next week.